So, for those that don't know, Hugh has since moved on to greener pastures. He's a co-founder of Gather and Grow Experiences. And I'd love to start us off with hearing a little bit more about Gather and Grow Experiences. Hugh, what is that?
Well, Gather and Grow reflects my, I'm just trying to come up with something witty here. Reflects that I like things that start with G in a row. But more seriously, just want to say, first of all, thanks for having me here. Congrats on what you guys are doing with Texas House. Really an amazing crowd here, an amazing event, and even more so an amazing soundtrack. Love that, whoever put that together, or if that was Spotify or whatnot. To your initial question, Gather and Grow is a company that I started in early May, with another former South by Southwest employee, and our basically we're a consultancy for other events, for people who want to create events. I don't like the word events. Experiences is even better. We've got a handful of clients now, several in Austin, and a couple more, one in El Paso, one in Ireland, and one in Brazil. And certainly the strong thesis here is what I think we all know, is that people like gathering face-to-face. They like in-person experiences. They've always liked that, but I think that's even more important in a world that is increasingly virtual and increasingly automated. And I think that face-to-face experiences, what we're doing at Texas House, what we do at South by Southwest, it's our path out of a lot of the division that we have now, that is unfortunately augmented by social media. I mean, when we're together face-to-face, we're generally civil with each other. We realize we have a lot more in common than we have apart. And again, that's the thing that's really trying to push with Gather and Grow Experiences.
So, you mentioned something very important, which is, this change with social media, how we connect, how things have I'd imagine the culture with South by Southwest, as well as many other conferences, gatherings, things like that. Everything has become virtual, especially since COVID, right? COVID has changed how we connect. And so, with this big change, how do you think that, because we have all these communities that are growing in Texas, and now it's more important than ever that we get this right. As the community grows, as new people come into the state, how do we return to a version of the past that made things like South by Southwest flourish and grow, and how do we get ready for new communities to come about in the way it used to be?
Great question. I was listening to some podcast this week that said nostalgia is not a strategy. That's kind of interesting. But I don't think it is nostalgia, particularly in Austin. I mean, we have, I think one of the things that separates Austin from a lot of places is there is generally a spirit of cooperation over competition. There's an idea of rising tide lifts all boats. I know we're here at Texas House, and Texas is a lot bigger than simply Austin. I can't speak all that much to the scenes in Dallas and Houston and San Antonio, but I think they're probably similar. I know that when I hear of people moving to Austin, when I meet them, there is that people notice that. People talk about that, what they like about this. I love a line I'll steal from my friend Bjorn Billhart, entrepreneur in Austin, is that this is a city where almost anyone will still meet with you if you call them up blindly, you know?
That's how we got you here. Just halfway, by the way, yeah.
Come on, I knew you guys beforehand. That's a good thing, right? That's a great thing. That people will help each other out. And so again, to my nostalgia is not a strategy thing. I think our challenge here, our goal here is to keep that going, to not change that as opposed to having to go back to something. You know, Austin changes a ton, and that's a good thing that Austin changes, that we grow, that we evolve, that we embrace new industries and new people. I'm all for that change, as long as we can retain these values of, again, cooperation, community, meeting people that have made this thing strong and made this city strong, made this ecosystem strong, and if we're throwing out C words, creativity also. As much as we're talking about AI this week at South by Southwest, and we're talking about AI everywhere, human creativity is still so much of what powers the special sauce of Austin and what powers the special sauce of South by Southwest.
So C words, since you bring it up, you know, I'd say that what you're describing is a culture, right? And Austin has a unique culture, and so I'm from Houston. And I think, you know, Houston, we're very kind, but I wouldn't say we're quite as collaborative as we are here in Austin, and I won't even, you know, dart on Dallas. But what I will say is that, you know, our culture here in Austin is quite unique, and I think that from my perspective, South by Southwest has had a huge impact on the culture here. And, you know, globally in my experience, what people recognize about Austin is the culture. And South by Southwest seems to be a large contributing factor to that. And so South by Southwest, for those of you who don't know, began in 1987. And I was born in 1994. So, and my first...
Which was the same year that we launched multimedia and film, so... You know,
so
all that all together,
anything, right? Yeah, okay, yeah. You know, but even still, my first South by Southwest was in 2017, and I've been every year since. And so, for me, it feels like I've experienced just a blip of it. And you know, my question to you is, and maybe you've already answered this. But it sounds like the year I was born is when it started to get serious. But you know, how long did it take for the culture on South by Southwest to form, and how intentional was this culture that you guys created?
Hopefully, it's been a lot of the culture that South by Southwest tapped into has hopefully been consistent over the 35, 40 years of the event. In my mind, and I don't think this is newsflash, no newsflash here, you know, so much of the success of South by Southwest is that it has reflected the city. What is cool about the city, that it's a welcoming city, that it's again, it's a place where people generally favor cooperation over competition. Sure, South by Southwest has changed a ton in the 40 years since 1987. It's become a lot more corporate in a lot of ways. There's some positives to that, there's some negatives to that, but there's still a lot of pockets of weirdness in South by Southwest, as there are pockets of weirdness in Austin. Maybe a little bit harder to find than it was X years ago, although in some ways that's neat that it's harder to find. So again, to your question of culture, again, I think what we were trying to do with South by Southwest was simply reflect Austin, simply reflect what a cool place this is. It certainly helps that the event happens in March when the weather is amazing here, and it may not be amazing elsewhere in the U.S. or other places. And that's been part of the success also. And again, part of the success is simply reflecting Austin. I mean, you go outside today and yesterday, and maybe tomorrow will be a little bit too hot, but it's just great to be in Austin in the spring. Meet cool people, see the flowers, the bluebonnets beginning to bloom. There's that real world metaphor of regeneration, new ideas, inspiration, and throw that all together again in a city that has always celebrated it and cultivated creativity, and it's been a really powerful formula.
Well, I mean, you mentioned a couple things. You know, you mentioned South by Southwest becoming more corporate. And now, of course, the theme of today is Y'all Street, which, I mean, what is more corporate than, you know, financial markets? And, you know, I guess my question to you is, you know, this community that is being built around Y'all Street, and, you know, this Y'all Street has the potential to change not just our lives, but the lives of everybody else in the United States and the rest of the world. I mean, this is, you know, when something like this occurs, I mean, this is the first time in my life that I've seen a new financial market just appear and come out of the ground. And I guess my question to you is, you know, if somebody wanted to start building a healthy community around this new entity that has these cascading effects that we're going to see across the world, you know, where would you start to begin to make sure that we get this right?
My advice on that is start small, build organically, treat people with respect, listen as much as possible, try to create alliances with as many different organizations as possible. These were the things that I really tried to emphasize at South by Southwest. That we're a big tent, that we incorporate a lot of different ideas, a lot of different people. But again, that starting small idea, growing, trying not to read your press clips too much, and simply try to keep pushing on that vibe of communication, of listening, of cooperation, and see where it goes and see how it grows.
Well, I mean, that sounds kind of risky. You know?
Come on, Will, that's not risky. This is what we do in Texas.
Well, I mean, again, going back to the culture of things, you know, this is such an important, you know, thing that we have to make sure that we get right. And I think that one of the things that I'm very mindful of, so I'm a 7th generation Texan. My family's been around here for a really long time, and even in the time that I've been alive, I've seen the composition of our state change so much, some for the good, some for the bad. I mean, you know, in 2020 when COVID hit Austin, a great example is when East Austin went from being a bunch of little teeny tiny family homes to you have all these spaceship houses that just dropped out of nowhere, and it is a completely different community that happened overnight. Was that a positive change? I mean, it depends on who you ask. And so something that I would ask you is, you know, the emergence of Y'all Street is going to attract different communities from around the United States. It's going to attract different people from all around the world. And so, you know, as Texans, if we want to be able to build something enduring around Y'all Street, what should we be protecting culturally as this ecosystem grows?
Well, I think that our responsibility, or hopefully our responsibility as Texans, is to have the people who are coming into our state, get them to align more with our values as opposed to us aligning with theirs. I think we've done a pretty good job of that as Austin has boomed over the last 10 years. There's certainly some rough edges there, but again, we retain our culture, we push our culture, we welcome people into town, and talk to them in a positive way about how we like to interact with each other. And again, cooperation. And I mean, I don't think it's brain surgery or rocket science. It's simply being true to our values. And that's what makes Austin unique. That's what makes Austin special. That's why people want to come here in the spring. I think if we keep those simple things in mind, the path forward is strong and bright.
You mentioned values, What are Texan values to you?
I think, again, Texan values are treating people with respect. To me, that means, again, returning emails quickly, trying to take meetings with people, listening to their ideas, their suggestions. Maybe their ideas and suggestions don't work, but again, listen to them. That's good things. Values as well, transparency, communication, clarity, and again, trying to help out people who are coming into the scene, introducing them to other folks. I ran into Mark Nathan this morning when I arrived. I don't think he's here now, but Mark is this great example of someone who, when someone moves to Austin, refer them to Mark Nathan and he will connect them with 10 different people.
Sure.
And that's an amazing
There he
thing.
is, actually.
There he
Yeah.
is, back there.
Look at him.
All right,
Yeah,
come in the
yeah,
front
yeah.
now.
Running down the stairs.
Nice.
Yeah.
If you need
Yeah. If
tech
anybody needs to meet
introductions in
somebody,
Austin,
there he
that
is.
man there. It's like that song.
Yeah. Well, I mean, so, Hugh, if we're sitting here 10 years from now and Y'all Street has become this globally recognized community around innovation and culture, financial markets, and I mean the culture, you think about the culture around Wall Street. It's everything from fashion to cuisine and what they do, what they drive, all of those things, right? So, in 10 years from now, if this is a globally recognized culture and community, what would success look like to you?
I think success in 10 years, 5 years, 10 years, 15 years is, again, bringing in these new elements, but not having these new elements fundamentally change us. Let's make the world more like Texas as opposed to Texas. Let's make Texas more like the world. Again, people love this place. People love coming here. You've seen that with the event you did in London and how popular that was. You see it with the event here and how popular this is. You see it with people coming to Austin for South by Southwest, coming to Austin for F1, coming to Austin for ACL. People love this place, and let's try to retain our values as much as we change. The superficial changes are great. The city pivoting with new innovations, new ideas, new verticals is great. But again, those core values, I hope they don't.
Me too. For the sake of all of us, me too. I'll say our shot clock ain't working, so I have no idea how long it's been, or we got 5 minutes? Okay, cool. It's a rare privilege to get to have a conversation with the Godfather himself. I'd be remiss if I didn't give somebody else an opportunity to ask you a question.
Well, let me say that, it's like the tone about the Buddha. I am not the Godfather. What I did and what I tried to do at South by Southwest was pull together a community, try to steer that community gently at times, and that community is what built a larger community, and all these various communities that have come together in Austin at South by Southwest. And community is a big word, can mean a lot of things. To me, it means, again, listening to people. Most of the best ideas that my team got at South by Southwest was from listening to the community, as opposed to things that we came up with on our own. And again, working with the community to make that happen. So I always bristle a little when someone says, well, you created this or you helped create this. No, community helped create this. And that's the community of Austin, that's the community, the virtual community, that's the community of Texas, that's the digital community. So many communities coming together and getting a lot of lucky breaks along the way.
Well, then I suppose I owe a thank you to the community. For
There you go.
creating
That's
this.
much better.
Yeah. But yeah, with that, Hugh, I guess, yeah, we're probably out of time right now. Thank you very much for taking this with us, and thank you for being at Texas House. We really appreciate it. Everybody give a big round of applause.
Thank
for
you.
Hugh Forrest. Thank you very much. We got barbecue upstairs for anybody that's hungry. Anybody that's ready, please make yourself at home. Thank you very much.